Right, 3 weeks ago, you may remember we were observing, many of us, St. Mary Magdalene, and I was in North Oamaru. I was on my way north to attend a family conference to do with the well-being of my very feisty 99-year-old mother, who really didn't need us there to help her at all and was going to sort the whole world out anyway. But there I had Mary Magdalene in the morning, Kathleen Godfrey the next day, and a whole lot of upside down, topsy-turvy things happen whenever you listen to Mary, not Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jesus, Mary of Nazareth. And when one listens to one's stroppy mother, and we're taken into this, down a rabbit hole, into this topsy-turvy world of Mary's great vision of strongness, of what includes strong women. Then I've been kind of out of the loop for 3 weeks, and here we are in a virtual loop, and we're encountering this other desperate Jesus. I think there's precedence for that, but we'll come back to that. And somehow we have to discern what God is kind of thunder whispering through this little passage and our own personal experiences of arguing with Jesus and even of strong women. 40 years ago or more, a strong woman named Elizabeth Schussler Fiorenza wrote a book about strong women who are given no name in memory of her, but no name. But these women whose stroppiness has reverberated through scripture for 2, even up towards 3,000 years. And today I think we're encountering one of the stroppiest of them all. And I think Mark wants us to see that. As it happens, and it's not really about me, but I have to drop this in, I'm currently researching this early history of the diocese for a chapter of the book. And I'm encountering many strong women. But back in the 1870s at the moment, and I cannot but notice how hard it is to find their names amongst the narratives which were written by men. And I have to dig incredibly deep into death notices and strange references from the society pages to find that Mrs. So-and-so was actually Anne or Mary or Jane and had an identity other than that of her husband. But nevertheless, I was finding these women who were prepared to wrestle with society and with economic downturns and with many aspects, and even to wrestle with God, before they were generally thrown into a heap of anonymity and went back into their husband's identity. I haven't tried that, Anne. It's not one I'm going to risk. But today we have this woman who encounters God, and she won't take no for an answer. We only know that this unnamed woman has an unnamed daughter, that she's a foreigner, a Gentile woman, and of course that she's desperate. And she's desperate that her daughter may not be cast even further into the scrap heap of humanity, scrap heap to which the absence of a Y chromosome has already pushed her. Whatever demons were or are, the biggest demon this woman was facing is that she and her daughter must fight for every scrap of hope. Demon, if you like, of oppression, demon of indifference, demon of a myriad names. And he, she, or it, probably he, is still around. And she fights. An outsider, an infidel. She encounters this Hebrew man that she's heard of who may just break the cycles of indifference that have been her whole life story, and maybe her daughter's death story. And perhaps in a timey-wimey kind of way, she finds around her a nation that cries out one moment, "This is not who we are," after one terrorist attack, and then sends death threats to Muslims after another, because in a very dark way, this is who humanity is. For as long as hatred is condoned, for as long as indifference is condoned, for as long as racial demarcation is condoned, this is who we are. And there was a big chasm between her and this potential source of help. And the unnamed woman, she confronts Jesus. She is not going to give up. And there's various theories about Jesus. Was he trying her desperation, or was he just persuaded by her rhetoric? Was he trying desperately through the noise of society to hear the depths of her heart cry for her desperate daughter, but trapped in the state of being a Jew in a world that divided people into Greek and Jew and male and female and all those demarcation lines? But I don't think he was trying to trick her. I don't think anything like that. I think he was Jesus, the Son, who in Paul's terms had emptied himself and was found in human flesh. And I think at that moment, he's still stepping out of any kind of cosmic knowledge into this very deep human understanding. Where is love in this context? Says he who is love in that context. That's one of the great paradoxes. Like later when he cries, oh my God, why have you forsaken me? When he is, we believe, God. And Jürgen Moltmann would tell us lots about that. But anyway, Jesus the Son is encountering the desperate woman. And he's brought up by his own moment of misjudgment. And he is us. And he is absorbing all that we are about nonchalance and indifference and fatigue and hatred. That's why Paul cries out, all have sinned. And this desperate, broken, nameless woman calls Jesus for it. Even Messiah is stopped in his tracks. And then he's chastened and he feels compassion that gods aren't supposed to feel. And he reaches out where gods fear to tread. And he reaches out across abysses of sexism and racism. And he says with his word from which action is inseparable, he says, your daughter is well. And perhaps faced with the heart cries of human loneliness, even God's mind has changed from time to time. Love is love. What's our task? Well, let's start with being honest with God, because I hurt when I see Afghanistan or the New World stabbing or a cot death or all these things that we encounter in our life. Let's start by telling God, God, it hurts. And let's continue by being vulnerable again, agents of God's vulnerable compassion. Let's reach across the tiny abysses in our world and show love against all odds, empowered by God's Spirit, because Jesus unexpectedly learned in a flash to be love and healing and hope for this woman. Let's start by being fair and just and caring, not because hate is not who we are, but because this is exactly who we are and we need God's help to overcome it. We are the darkness of nonchalance and indifference, even if not mostly of hate, and we need God's help. But the bad things are what we're all capable of. And Jesus the human encounters desperation beyond his until then understanding. He's yet to experience the brokenness of the cross that reaches further still that I talked about before, even beyond this woman's pain. But faced by this broken woman's anguish, he sees new dimensions which his divine love can reach. And he continues afresh his journey towards Jerusalem, where hope is going to be born. The Lord be with you.